Hello, good evening, and welcome to week 6 of the singing sessions. The last few weeks we've been looking at the more theoretical side of things. Week 4 we did rhythm. Week 5 we looked at scales and at melodies and at all of the notation that makes up music. This week we're going to think a bit more about like what sort of music there is and what sort of music you want to sing and what sort of music your voice fits. But before we get ready to do any of that, we've got to shake off a bit. We've got to get our bodies a little bit warm. So what we're going to do is you're going to find somewhere where you've got a little bit of room, and we're going to walk on the spot, bringing our knees up as high as we can. And while we're doing this, I'm going to distract your arms. So if you watched week 4, you will have remembered the rhythm game. So we've got 4 different rhythms. The first one, so you're going to walk, and when I call a number, you're going to stop, you're going to give me the rhythm, and then you're going to keep walking again. If you get it wrong, you're out. Or you have to do 5 stair jumps. So we're walking on the spot. Our first rhythm, so rhythm number 1 is, so slap, clap, slap. Okay, that one's quite simple. So number 1. Okay, now we're going to get a little bit more complicated with number 2. So slap, slap, clap, slap. If you saw our notation thing last week, the space we're staying in is still short. So instead of 2 minims, instead of a minim, we're thinking crotchets. So we're going from something that takes up 2 beats to something that takes up 1. So we were going 1, 2, 1, and now we're going 1, 2, 1, 1. So try to reduce that, and we'll just call it 2. Okay, so is number 2. So 1. Okay, 2. Now we're going to go to 3, and 3 is even more confusing. So 3 is, okay, 1, 2, clap, 1, 2, 3, clap, 1, 2, 3, clap, 1. Okay, so that's 3. Yeah. Number 2. Number 2. Number 3. Okay. Number 1. Number 1. I got it wrong, so I've got to do 5 stair jumps. Okay. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 2. Number 3. Okay, walk a bit. Right, now I'm going to introduce you to one that is even more confusing, because I'm sure you guys have got it. So we're crossing our arms to our shoulders, and I think of this one as eat my shorts. So eat my shorts, why don't you eat my shorts? So our shoulders are eat, our chest is my, and our legs are shorts. That's the way it works. Okay, so eat my shorts, why don't you eat my, oh, I got it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, eat my shorts, why don't you eat my shorts? Okay, and again, number 4, eat my shorts, why don't you eat my shorts? Okay, I'm going to throw that one in at random. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit. We're getting faster. Okay, number 2. Number 2. Oh, I got it wrong again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 2. Number 3. Number 1. Number 1. You were short. Ah, how are you feeling? Feeling a bit warmer? Let's go for one more round. Let's see if we can get it even faster. So pick up the pace with your legs. Right. Number 3. Okay. Number 1. Number 1. Number 4. Good job. Right. Keep going. Give your arms a bit of a shake. Now, where am I going to go next? Where am I going to go next? Number 1. Number 1. Number 3. Oh, I got it wrong again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whew. Okay, now we've got our heart rates up a little bit. We're going to do some stretches, gentle stretches. We're going to roll our shoulders back first, so our shoulders are coming up to our ears, and then pulling back and down, and then come forward, up, back, down, forward. Try and get a nice big circle, up and back and down and forward, up, back, down, forward, up, back, down, forward. Now we're going to go the other way. So we're going down and back, then up and forward. Just a couple more times. While we're doing this, start to think about what your stomach muscles are doing. If you're sitting down like me, are they supporting you? Are you slouching? The more support you give your body, the more support it gives your voice. A couple more of these. Nice big ones to make sure our shoulders are nice and loose. Okay, give yourself a bit of shake off. Okay, now we're going to open up our side ribs. So we're going to lift our hand to the ceiling, and we're going to come over, and we're making sure that we're not tilting our hips to do this. The stretch should all be in your ribs. Okay, give your hand, give your ribs a little bit of a feel out, see how tense they are, give them a pat, wake them up. Nice. Deep breath here. And we're gonna let it rise up, down again. And we're gonna go for the other side. So up and then over. Give your ribs a rub. And a bit of a pat, wake them up. Okay, slowly come back up and release. Now we're going to lift our hands up and we're going to lean back gently, making sure that all of our movement is up towards the sky. So we lean back, we're not crunching anywhere. Okay, nice deep breath here. And we're going to come forward. Now we're going to let our head drop to one side. This hand is going to have wiggly fingers pointing towards the floor. This hand is just going to come to rest on our head. So we're not pulling, just resting. Take a few deep breaths in your own time. Okay, and release. Bringing it over to the other side. And we're going to let this hand float up. This hand's doing little wiggly fingers pointing at the floor. Now we're going to let our head float back up. Do a little roll sideways. Now we're going to drop our chin forward. This one you have to do standing up. So we're letting our spine slowly roll down. If you can't stand up, try and make yourself into a little ball, like a little armadillo, or a hedgehog, and try and let your whole body just sink. We want a nice curve to our spine here, all the way around. And then bit by bit, we're going to come back up to that nice, long, stretched, straight back. Okay. Now we're going to move on to some breath. We're going to make this one quite quick. So we're going to do in for 4, hold for 4, out for 8, and then we'll build up. So breathing through your nose in. And hold. And out. The air flow back in naturally. Let it go out naturally. Then we're going to go 4, 4, 10. Okay, so we're breathing in. Hold. Okay, we're going to see if we can get it up to 12 now. So breathing in. Hold. Oh. Shake yourself off a bit. Take a few natural breaths. A good way to check that your shoulders aren't engaging when you're breathing like that is just to think the word shoulders. It's amazing what it does. You're generally not conscious of the tension in your shoulders, but if you think, oh, shoulders, your shoulders naturally drop down to a more comfortable position. Yeah, head nice and upright, shoulders drawn back, comfy. So we're going to do some humming, and we're going to hum around our bodies. So we're going to find that nice on our lips. And now with that note, or any note that you're comfortable on, don't push yourself. This isn't about being really high or loud. Just find what we're doing is searching for places of resonance. So next place I'm going to put my hands on the mask of my face, and I'm going to find the hum in my cheeks. So how much of your face can you feel that hum on? If you're still not feeling it, you can chew it forward. So that's moving your face like this, like you're chewing a massive piece of bubble gum, and keep that hum coming. So I'm not finding it on my forehead, so I'm gonna change my pitch, see if I can. There it is. I want you to try and find it on top of your head. So this is the note that I get the most resonance from the top of my head from. Okay, now we're going to come to our neck, our throat, softly letting it warm itself. So you should have a lot of buzz here. Not try and change the pitch, try and change how much air you're letting through. Just have a play, see what you can feel. Okay, now your chest. How did you find that one? Easy? Difficult? It's not my natural place of resonance, so it took me a long time to find anything there, but I'm now getting a buzz. Now we're going to try and feel it right down in our ribs, those side ribs that we just opened up. So I get more of a buzz in my back when I do that. So that's an area that I'm going to focus on in my next warm up. Remember, steal these ideas from me, do it in your own time, and you will become a stronger singer. So we've done a bit of breath, we've done a bit of resonance, we've done a little bit of body. So now let's get our faces going. So we're going to take a tiny piece of chewing gum, put it in mouth, and chew it. And our chewing gum's getting bigger. Bigger. Now, chew, I can barely keep your mouth shut. It's even like in your eyes and your neck. And now it's getting smaller. And smaller. Now it's completely disappeared. Okay, does your face feel like it's had a bit of work? Give it a little bit of a rub your hands together, get your hands nice and warm. And now we're just gonna pull down. Just let our jaw hang. Okay, now we're gonna go to those tongue rolls. So we're gonna do 6 that way, then 4, then 4, then 2, then 2, then. Okay, so 1. Try and touch all of your teeth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go that way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You need to shake out, give yourself a break for a second. Do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Did it count? Oh, did it get fake? Oh, no. You feel your throat, feel where that big lump is in the middle. Just give it a little, don't try and like move it or shift it, just give it a little massage. Now we're going to do a lip trill. So that's what we did last week, where we okay, we're going to play about in our range a bit. Again, nice and quiet. This is for you, not for everyone else. Okay, do you feel a little bit warmer? Brilliant. We're going to do a couple of arpeggios. So these are broken chords. In fact, first we'll do our solfege signs. So our solfege signs are do, re, mi, so do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Like from the Sound of Music. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do, re, la, mi, re, do. Okay, now I'm just going to do it with the piano and the hand signal, and I want you to sing along. Okay, we'll do it again together. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Okay, now we're not going to do the full scale anymore. We're going to take snippets from it. So we're going to start with do, mi, so. We're going to go do, mi, so, mi, do, do, re, sa, re, do. Now we're going to move on to re. Re, fa, fa, re, re, fa, fa, re. We have mi, 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 sa, di, sa, mi, mi, sa, di, sa, mi, sa, di, sa, mi. And we'll go up one more. Fa, fa, la, do, fa, fa, la, do, fa. Okay. So those were some basic arpeggios. There's other types of arpeggios that we'll move on to as we progress. But let's move on to what this session's all about. We are going to be talking about genres of music and types of voice. So the first thing I thought we might do is I have Spotify open here. Actually, this is probably quite a good example of a range of songs. So the song I'm about to play you, I'd get you to pick your genre. What do you think this comes under?
You were both young when I first saw you. I close my eyes and the flashback starts. I'm standing there on the balcony of summer air.
What do you notice about her voice? So what I know is just lots of breath, lots of breath. What would you count that song as? So here it's listed as pop. Some pop fans might argue it's a bit more country. Some country fans might argue that it's definitely pop. But it's kind of yours to decide, I suppose. That's one style. Very breathy, very twangy. We'll cover what twangy means in a second. Some might refer to it as nasal, but I'll explain why that's a bit off in a minute. Next one. So that, again, would either be classed as pop or pop rock. But if you think, their voices are so different. Hers is very breathy, very melodic, whereas he's basically talking to a beat, to a song, not quite rapping, but definitely very different. Then we've got this one, which so that again, is another thing that is under the pop chart, but has influences from quite a few different. There's a little bit of blues there, maybe a little bit of Motown. It's very, very different to both of those other two voices that we've already heard. Let's have a look what else we can get. Oh, this one is interesting. So this is a guy doing that sort of breathy talk singing. He is playing in his upper register. Later in the song, he even goes falsetto for quite a bit, which is something that you do see quite regularly in pop songs with guys. Let's see, let's pick another genre, shall we? So those were all pop influenced by something else.
I've been thinking maybe things were never done.
So this one's much, sounds very fluid. There's less breathiness, there's a bit there, but it's not so much. And then we can go to something like, some of you might be familiar with this, it goes in a lot of adverts. It's called Rigoletto, Act 3, La Donna Immobile. So the timbre of his voice, the effect of his voice is very round compared to anything that we've heard so far. Very forward. Lots of long notes and vibrato. The vibrato is what we call it when you, or some people call it a trill. Yes, a trill, a rapid alternation of the note shown and the note above it. It's very fast. And it's fun to try and do. So have a go at doing that next time you're randomly listening to La Donna Immobile. And then let's just one more. So this is in the R&B section, and it's so. What's interesting about this one, she's got that vibrato going on that we noticed in the opera one. So that in R&B is referred to as a runt. And it's just playing between the notes. But there's that breathy quality that there was in the Taylor Swift one, but as well as that, there is the roundness that you heard in the CeeLo Green one. There we go. So screamo and hardcore, there's a lot of genres within this. But this is that twangy sound that you get in Taylor Swift without the breathy softness. So that's an interesting thing to think about, is he's singing. Every single person who I've played you has sung. So next time you're listening to whatever sort of music that you love, have a think about it. What about that song makes it that genre? What about that song makes it different to, say, okay, so how is this different to that? And when she kicks in, she has that nasality. So completely missed it. So she's got a very different, she's shouting, she's getting that volume, but without that tension, without that grabby sound. And again, it's from a Disney movie, it's from a movie musical, and it is a very different style. It has influences from some of those other genres, but it is very definitely a musical song. And again, that's something interesting to look at. What makes a song from a musical? So we've got a little bit of that trill, we've got a lot of that nasal, a little bit of tightness at the back of the throat as well. Got that roundness, intense diction, and then of course you've got a really obvious chorus of people. So where in a pop song you might have a backing singer, sometimes they even have a choir, but it's separate, whereas this is a whole integrated team of people making a sound. And again, this type of musical is very different to Annie or to Frozen 2. Now we've had a think about that, and I do encourage you to go and find songs of your own, songs that you like, to think about what it is that you like about it, what it is that appeals to you, and songs that you like singing. What is it about that you find interesting? So now we're going to talk about those voice types. In a minute we'll talk about sopranos and altos and all of those things, but first I want to go back to like the very basics of how you make noise with your face and with your body and with your vocal cords. And to do that, I want us to sing Happy Birthday. And as we sing Happy Birthday, we're going to play a different character each time round. And that character is going to inform the way that we're singing. And we're just going to let it go. We're going to let it do whatever it wants, basically. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find that annoying little, that Annie character, that annoying little person, little kid who's got who wants the presents. It's not their birthday, but they should have been given presents. That's sort of, okay, and we're gonna find that with a yeah, yeah. Can you do that? Yeah. Okay, so find that right there. Maybe you might find it by doing like an evil witch. Right, now we're gonna sing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear whoever you are. Happy birthday to you. Now, to me, that feels really unpleasant. It sounds really unpleasant. It's not something I enjoy doing, but that's what we refer to as twang, and that's twang all on its own. you have this thing in the back of your throat called your epiglottis, and it basically slams shut over the hole that's at the top of the tube that you breathe down, so that food and water can't get into your lungs. You also have something called the aryepiglottic sphincter, which is delightful sounding, but basically it's a little hole that tightens up, and when it tightens up, we get that noise. It's not very nice when you have it on its own, but if you mix it into other things, and I find it hard to do without having it makes your volume much higher. Those high notes carry through walls, they carry across space really easily. So if you are performing on a stage, having that is better than taking it out. So I'm trying to relax my aryepiglottic sphincter, which is quite difficult to do, but you can hear it's changed instantly. I sound very different. A lot of American singers naturally have that twang, and a lot of musical performers also have it, because, as I said, it helps you get your voice across the biggest distance. Now we got to the party late and we're really embarrassed, and all of the cake's gone, but you kind of don't want to say anything, because if you tell anyone, they'll know that you arrived late, and it's really embarrassing. So now you're going to sing happy birthday, but you're just really sad about it, and you're making noises like a wounded puppy, and it's so what that's doing is it's tipping your voice box forwards, and it makes you sound like you're about to cry. So we're going to sing happy birthday, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear person. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so I find that quite easy to get to. It's in my natural speaking voice. But if you're trying to hit those really high notes, tipping that forward, it's called, you got a little chunk of cartilage there, and it can tip forwards, and when it does that, it makes that sort of noise. But it's also when you go for those high ones, you gotta tilt, right? The next one, this is someone else's birthday. You didn't want to be there, but you're there now, so whatever, right? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. So that's obviously using that sense of boredom to illustrate speech tone, and your speech tone is really useful because it's generally how you talk. But also, if you're doing pop music or Disney, there's often a lot of either speech quality or a mix of speech and something else. So you're singing, but there's not really much singing involved. There, for me, my thyroid naturally tilts, so it's not the best example. But you can talk sing all you want. And then obviously rapping is talk singing. Depending on who's rapping, there'll be more melody or less, but it's talk singing. Right, the next one. Okay, so our next one, you're really excited. Oh, it's so exciting, and all of that air's coming out. Oh, and it's like you're blowing air. get very posh when I do this. But also, elderly women, hello, dearie, hello, often have this. This is our basic falsetto. So our vocal folds are very, very tight and slightly tilted. So we're going to sing a happy birthday like this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Now, falsetto is an interesting one because some people can people will refer to them as being in falsetto, but until you hit that point where there's that hollow sound, you're not actually really in falsetto in the terms that I'm feeding you information from the training I did, which is called a still training, and they have a very specific set of figures or attractor states. So that's what I'm teaching you with this. And the definition is slightly different to kind of you hear them on the radio, wow, that falsetto is cool, because a lot of them aren't doing falsetto, they're actually doing belt, which I will show you last because I'm the least confident in it. We're gonna go to our next one, which is opera. We're going to imagine that we're them. We've just come from a rehearsal and we're going to show everyone in the room how good we are at singing. So our shoulders are back and down, our head is up, and we're going to show off to everyone. So you're imagining you're an opera singer, or at least you wanted to be an opera singer, and now you're kind of a singer on the weekend. Yeah? So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so what was I doing there? I had my thyroid all the way tilted. I had this nice open space, lots of back support, lots of shoulder support, lots of support from my stomach to push that air out, but not pushing is the wrong word, to release the air. If you're pushing, you get tension. That's not our friend. Opera is really fun for me because it is all of the things that make my voice. So it is it's a bit of sob, it's a bit of speech, and also a little bit of falsetto, depending on where you want to throw it. And it's also just really fun to be that character sometimes. Now, belt, I find difficult. So you will have heard of belt. In fact, we were just listening to Idina Menzel. We were just listening to one of the singers doing it. So belt is different from opera because the twang is more and the tilt is less. So we're coming away from that sob sound and we're pushing into that like a little bit, not so it's unpleasant, but to carry that sound. This is really popular in a lot of music at the moment, but especially on the West End, stuff like that, because you get hired if you can do it, basically. We want to change this. Let's go for all the falsetto people. I'm having a quick sip of water and then we'll try and do it. I'll stop stalling. Right. So for this one, I'm going to stand up because I want a little bit more support from my legs. Sorry for the wonky angle. So We can do what Beyonce does occasionally. She'll have like a chair or something that's right there, and it looks like she's showing off. It's normally the microphone stand, but what she's actually doing is she's doing something called anchoring, which is when you use your muscles to support up into your vocal apparatus. So our shoulders are down, our head is not jutted back, but it is back. It is all go. We're ready to go. Our knees are slightly bent, and we're gonna try and belt happy birthday. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that was as close to a belt as I think I'm going to get. But you might have noticed that I slipped a little bit back into opera, because where my comfort zone is where that sub comes in. I also slipped into an American accent. I did that because it's easier for me to imagine my belt in an American accent, because when I'm singing, when I'm practicing, I'm generally singing along to someone American. So let's put those things together and try again, because the belt is really popular. So we've got our speech quality, the way we normally talk, that bored person at the party, just whatever. Then we've got our twang, and our twang is coming in right up at the top, and then we're filling that out, and we're making that sound really big, and we're just going to, again, it's safe shouting through songs. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. So I'm going to take another sip of water. One thing you got to be watching out for when you do belt, or your attempt belt, because it is difficult, and some people can do it naturally. I am not one of those people. It takes me a lot of practice, and sometimes I lose focus on the safety aspect of voice, and safety is a massive part of being a successful, flexible voice practitioner. So any tension that comes in, you have to be really conscious about letting it go. There is some work, like with any muscle. If you're lifting a heavy weight, you're going to feel that, and you can feel that in your throat, but you need to know the difference between that work and strain. They are different, and one will lead to injury and the other will lead to better rehearsal. So we're avoiding strain, we're avoiding tension. The only tension we want is the tension that we choose, like that Beyonce holding the back of a chair, or a mic stand, or Shirley Bassey always. So that's the same thing. She's anchoring down through those muscles. Diamonds are forever. And it's all that. It's doing the same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's anchoring. And we do that to be safe, basically. I hope that was fun for you guys. It's something that I really enjoy doing, and it's a really good way of practicing, because if you can imagine those characters, Maybe it's someone you actually know, maybe it's someone you've only seen on TV, but it can give you that little bit of like, oh yeah, I know exactly who sounds like that. And you have something to aim for. I think the last thing I want to do with you guys today is talk about kind of register and what that means. So there's a couple of names that you've probably heard already. Oh, I forgot to mention, Taylor Swift has an element of breathiness, but she's not all the way falsetto. In that particular song, there's a lot of but there's still work going on, there's still contact. So maybe you remember me talking about your vocal folds. They come together, and the thickness of them when they come together determines the sort of sound you're going to make. If you've got thick fold, like that belt is two big heavy doors slamming together. Thin fold isn't quite the same as falsetto. So falsetto is very tight and sort of shortened, which is how you get the hollowness. Whereas so the air is still coming out first, but there's contact, and that's what we call thin fold. Yes. So there's a couple of these that you will have heard of. There's a couple of these that you might not have heard of. The one that I'm going to mention first is soprano. So that's quite a commonly known one. So we've got our mid C, right? So now my middle C is here. And so the definition I found today was sort of the average soprano, professional, choral, that sort of thing, musical. Depending on what forum you go into, you'll find more of these descriptions. If you're part of a choir, you'll probably find a lot of these descriptions. So the average soprano will go from a low note of so that's C4, that's our middle C, to I'm not a soprano. On a good day, I can hit that high C, but it doesn't mean it's pretty. So what I would describe myself as is a either mezzo or mezzo soprano. So basically means middle soprano. And a middle soprano, let's leave that back down again, can generally go from this is an A3 to an A5, which is not today, obviously. So that's a mezzo soprano. My throat's a bit tired now from trying to do all that belting, so my top range is not there right now. I'm going to give myself permission to not have that top range today, and I'm going to move on down. And that's important, is to be honest with yourself, but not cruel to yourself. I can't get that high today. I won't do it today. So we'll go to alto. So an alto, yeah, most of us are mezzo sopranos, which is handy. And the altos are the ones who are really rare. So when you're younger, there'll be more sopranos, just because if you think of that a tiny violin makes a much higher sound than a massive cello. So a lot of us develop into our lower registers, and altos can go lower than most. So this is our middle C. So C4, B, A, G, F, L. So the average can go to F, and then the higher note is an F5, which brings us over here. Quite fun to play around. This is quite generous. It's given everyone 2 octaves. Some people can do much more than 2 octaves. Some people can do much less. The other fun thing about an alto, I should say, is that it's kind of the range where people start giving you male parts. So the next one down is a tenor. And a tenor is the highest of the male register. Now, male and female registers are getting, that terminology is getting used less often these days. A, because it's just quite limiting to people, and B, because it's not entirely accurate. So some altos who have been called altos based on their gender can in fact sing lower than some tenors. Some tenors can in fact sing higher than some altos, and even some mezzo-sopranos, depending on who you're talking about. But the register line, the gender line, sits between an alto, whose low note is here, and a tenor, whose low note is here. Definitely lower than I could hear, but it's not too low for there's definitely women who can do that, and their upper register ends. But again, there are some men who can sing much higher than that, and yes, they might go into their falsetto, but this octave system doesn't necessarily take in what your falsetto can do and what your head voice or your chest voice or your mixed voice can do. So your chest voice is kind of another description of that speech tone. It's the normal register that you speak in. So it tends to be lower in your register, in your entire vocal register. Then you've got your mixed voice, which is when you've started to change the shape of your anatomy to be able to reach that higher note. Often when I do it, you'll catch me taking a really deep breath before I move up. That's because I've reached that slide moment that moves me from chest voice to mixed voice. Then, so I'm strongest in my head, in my chest voice or my head voice. My mixed voice isn't particularly strong because I didn't train it when I was younger. Something that I'm working on. But my mixed voice is at a completely different pitch to either of the others. And that's true of most people. And we spend a lot of time training to make it less obvious, basically. So we've got our tenor who can sing from about here to about here. And that's not always true. If you've got an alto that can sing a tenor part, they're sometimes called a contralto. Again, you're more likely to see this sort of description in opera or in choral music. And a tenor who can sing higher than alto can be called a countertenor. So yeah, that's the sort of like female male. There can be there is a specific shape expected of your hyoid and all of that sort of thing, based on sex. However, it's not always true. Not everyone is built that way. So you gotta give a little space for that. Then we're moving on to our baritones. So our baritones, and then we're going all the way down here. Can you imagine being able to sing that low? I can't. Then, but that is very low. That is very low. Then we have our bass and our bass singers. Some bassists can even that is very low. That is very, very low. So let's quickly jump back through that again. So a soprano. So we've got our soprano, we've got middle C, and then up again. So right, middle C. We go 2 octaves. And then all the way up to need to go up 1 more octave. That's a bit mad. So generally these are about 2 octaves. So another version gave me C4 to C6, but a lot of sopranos can get higher than that. Our mezzo sopranos, so that's pretty much where I would be. We're coming down. And then we're going all the way up to I can definitely get higher than that. Then we've got our altos who C4 2 F3. That's pretty low. That's pretty low. We've got our tenors who are C3 to C5. Then we have our baritones. We're down. Yeah, and then we've got our bassists. I'm going to have to drop the octave to reach it. Our bassists are going from, so there's our mid C here. So we're coming down 2 octaves from mid C. So at the extreme ends, you've got the sopranos, and at the other end, you've got the bass singers. And everyone's got a range sort of between those. And when you're given one of these names, it's because you've specialized in something generally, or you have a natural ability within that vocal range. Just want to leave you with one more metaphor for your head voice and your chest voice, and thinking about those vocal folds and how they come together. So when we come together like this, we call it thick fold. And again, if you think, so if you look at a guitar and you look at the string that plays the lowest note, it's very thick. It is a very thick string. And when you look at the strings that play the higher notes, it's a very thin string. And it's the same with your vocal folds. So you have different settings for how thick fold your voice is, or thin fold. And your mixed voice is somewhere between that really thick string and that really slender string. And basically it's up to you to find it. Where does your voice change? What do you like? How does it feel? And with that, I shall ask you politely to drink lots of water, to do safe warm-ups before you try to do any of this pitch stuff, because if you're trying to work out if you're a soprano, and you're not, or you're not yet, and you hurt yourself, you can do real damage. We're not just talking about a sore throat for a couple of days. So drink lots of water, warm up lots, and have fun finding your voice. I'll see you soon.